Hello guys, Termex here, and I got some Randy Pitchford news that is in relation to Borderlands. Now for some backstory, we have the YouTuber by the name of JoltsDude that makes this simple tweet by saying, hot take, the face puncher shotgun in Borderlands 3 ruined melee. Who the heck shoots a shotgun and calls it a melee build? I'm going to say my personal take on this before we go any further. I do think the face puncher is something that kind of ruined the whole melee mechanic, because if you have a melee build, especially when you expanded upon it in Wonderlands, it seems kind of ignorant to just make it a gun and scale the damage off of that, and the face puncher did more damage by itself than melee did, because Wonderlands actually had the stab-o-matic, which literally looks like the face puncher and functioned in the same way as the face puncher, but it made less sense in Wonderlands because you had dedicated melee weapons. And Randy Pitchford does give a really long answer. True answer, designers getting conceptual with cross-application of data systems looking to mine strange ideas sometimes stumble onto some awesomeness, and have discovered that finding magic with systems that have years more downstream work behind them is more about at-bats than hitting home runs on every swing. So they have a lot of wild conceptual designs, knowing full well that when the rest of the game is made and balanced behind them, the data they are relying on for these designs may make the gun wonky or of limited use. Given this, batting averages of .100 are amazing when you're building a bazillion guns, and I think we probably beat that, but I haven't done the math and I don't know, a lot of it is subjective anyway. And then he closes off his tweet by saying, celebrate the jank, it will lead to more fun wildness. Eliminate the jank and you kill Borderlands. Now there's some of this I do agree with. I do agree that having fun guns that do wacky things are good, but we're not targeting every single weapon in the franchise that happens to be fun and quote-unquote broken. It's not like we're talking about things from like Wonderlands, that cryo pistol, I can't think of it right now, the liquid cooling, yeah, that thing. We're not talking about that. We're talking about something that fundamentally kind of hurts another system in place, because the point of using melee is to punch things. So shooting it just really doesn't make sense, but I do agree. I think part of Borderlands and what makes it special is having all these unique weapons that do crazy things, even if some of the intentions are not really there. And then we have JoltsDude replying saying, I think it's personally more about staying true to the craft. Melee has a fine line in terms of delivery. If I shown someone not familiar with Borderlands the gameplay of me shooting a shotgun and told them it was a pure melee build, they would certainly raise some eyebrows. And Randy Pitchford says, don't get caught up in definitions. Some of the fun in design with guns is to flirt with strange applications of the dataset. Now there's a whole bunch of stuff and hypotheticals he mentions that I'm going to skip, but I'm going to go to the important part where he says, sometimes this kind of thing leads to serious game-breaking stuff players discover and will make a patch. This one is kind of funny and not that big of a deal. Chill out and have fun and be stoked you discovered one of the strange edge cases. I bet there is a really strange weapon out there that may never drop. Now the thing with Randy saying that is he say it's one of the only use cases, but you inadvertently made the same exact thing happen in Wonderlands. You knew this was a thing where you added melee, but you made the same exact issue. And I'm pretty sure a lot of creators actually pointed this out, that the face puncher was nice because some of the bosses in the game were kind of locked to not being able to be meleeed, so it kind of remedied that, so maybe it was a little bit more acceptable. But going forward into Wonderlands, where melee have their own weapon class now, you basically made all that hard work your developers spent on making melee weapons and all these cool melee skills and animations, it was kind of just useless because you added the stab-o-matic, which was the same thing as the face puncher, and that's what we're trying to say. We're not sitting here trying to say that we don't want these wonky interactions or we don't want this. It's simply, if you're going to mess with a core part of the game like a melee build over a gun build, it is a problem. It's less of a problem if you make a shotgun do sniper damage or you make a grenade scale off of critical hit damage, because you're not fundamentally changing the way the game operates and how the game scales. But when you make melee inadvertently obsolete through making a singular gun, it really discredits all the hard work that you're defending that the developers and these great idea makers put into the actual game, and I think that's what Randy Pitchford here is failing to understand, that we want all these cool designs and stuff to shine, but this gun in both games just absolutely tarnishes it, at least in my humbled opinion. Another statement that Randy Pitchford made in people talking about the issues with just having bosses that aren't meleeable, his response to that was, there are other guns. If a gun doesn't work well against an enemy you're dealing with, use another one. And it was such a bad thing that someone even stated, do you think it's an error in design flaw if you have to use a gun when your melee build does not work? It seems like more of a error in design, and he feels like it was a rather big problem. And Randy Pitchford's response to that is, it's not that big of a problem. No, literally just use a gun. Good luck, have fun. Use a gun is a wild answer if you're looking for build variety, but when you make a melee build fun in a actual skill tree, Amara has many melee skills to where melee is an endgame viable thing, and then you just turn it into a gun, it kind of takes away from the charm. Why does it feel cool to be up in their face and face slam when I could just phase cast Grave Ward and shoot him with a face puncher? It's two drastically dynamically different playstyles that don't even feel like melee anymore, and it really kind of harms the charm of the melee builds. But going off the thumbnail and title, why is this so detrimental for the next game, and why did I make this about Borderlands 4? Well, if they're going in with this mindset about Borderlands 4, and we know Borderlands 4 is probably pretty close to done already, what are the odds that these type of systems in place will not be implemented in Borderlands 4? What if Borderlands 4 has dedicated melee, but he knows or they know that some bosses aren't meleeable? Are the people with melee builds gonna suffer? Going off of this thread in his responses, I would say if there's a melee character in Borderlands 4, maybe hold off, because I don't think he understands what we're trying to say to him and what we're trying to convey, that it's literally only the face puncher. He makes it seem like we found something like a diamond in the rough, but the general community knows that the face puncher and melee damage is a very specific issue. We're not complaining about anything else in any other department, so I definitely think it should be second guessed and at least looked into a little bit further if you're going to make melee builds an actual thing in the game. If you want to remove melee builds entirely, then I understand why you wouldn't want it, but then again, why would the face puncher exist if you removed melee builds? But this is just another case of Randy Pitchford showing that I don't think he is 100% on the same page as the actual Borderlands fans, and let's hope that this isn't more bad news for Borderlands 4. But hey, maybe I'm overreacting and maybe he just truly doesn't like melee builds. Let me know in the comments down below your true thoughts about this, and don't forget to leave a like on the video as it does spread out my Borderlands content to more people in the Borderlands community, and make sure you guys subscribe if you never want to miss out on another Borderlands video from me, guys. Stay safe, and I will see you all later.